Hi, my name is Emma Carter. I'm 22 years old, and I live in Chicago, Illinois. I'm a college student, majoring in business administration, but my biggest struggle has always been English fluency. Even though I've been learning English for years, speaking confidently has never been easy for me. I could understand everything, movies, podcasts, even conversations around me. But when it was my turn to speak, my words wouldn't come out smoothly. I would hesitate, overthink, and sometimes completely freeze. That's when I discovered something that changed everything for me: the shadowing technique. At first, I didn't believe it could work, but when I tried it, I saw incredible progress. Today, I want to share my story, my struggles, and how this simple but powerful technique transformed my ability to speak English fluently and confidently. If you're someone who understands English but can't speak fluently, I promise you, this story will give you real hope. My struggle with speaking English, I remember my first day at college. I was excited, but also nervous. I had moved from a small town in Ohio to Chicago, and everything felt so big and overwhelming. I had good grades in English back in high school, but when I had to introduce myself in front of my classmates, I felt my heart pounding. Hi, I am Emma Carter. I study business administration. My voice shook, and my hands were sweating. I could hear the fluency in my classmates' voices when they spoke. They used phrases effortlessly, their sentences flowed naturally, and they didn't have awkward pauses like me. That day, I realized something. Understanding English is not the same as speaking it fluently. The more I tried to speak, the more frustrated I became. Whenever I had a conversation, I would get stuck searching for words. I knew what I wanted to say, but it just wouldn't come out smoothly. My confidence dropped, and I started avoiding conversations. I would nod and smile instead of answering questions in full sentences. One day, my professor asked me a simple question in class. "Emma, what do you think about this business strategy?" I had thoughts in my head, but when I opened my mouth, I said, it, it's good because, the market, is changing?" I felt embarrassed. I could see my classmates waiting for me to finish my sentence, and I knew I wasn't expressing myself the way I wanted to. That's when I realized I needed to change something. The discovery of the shadowing technique. One night, after feeling frustrated with my English again, I searched online, how to speak English fluently. I read many articles, watched YouTube videos, and came across something called shadowing. The concept was simple. Listen to a native speaker, a podcast, a YouTube video, a speech. Repeat exactly what they say at the same time, like a shadow. Mimic their pronunciation, rhythm, and tone as closely as possible. At first, I was skeptical. Could just copying someone really help me? But I had nothing to lose. So I picked my first shadowing material, a TED Talk by a motivational speaker named Simon Sinek. My first attempt at shadowing, I sat in my room, put on my headphones, and played the speech. As Simon spoke, I tried to repeat after him, but it was impossible. His words were too fast. I couldn't keep up. I paused, rewound, and tried again. "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it." I said, "People don't buy, what you do, they buy why you do it." It was messy. I felt silly talking to myself. But I told myself, "Emma, keep going." For the next week, I practiced every day. At first, I could only repeat a few words. Then, I started catching whole sentences. I noticed my tongue getting used to forming the words faster. My pauses became shorter. I didn't need to think about grammar. It just started flowing. The real change. After 2 weeks of shadowing, something surprising happened. I was in a coffee shop when the barista asked, "Would you like your coffee hot or iced?" Without thinking, I answered smoothly, "I'll have it iced, please." For the first time, I spoke without hesitation. My response was natural, automatic. It felt like my brain had rewired itself. I was shocked. Excited by my progress, I added more materials to my practice. news podcasts, TV shows, even casual conversations from YouTube vloggers. I would pause Netflix shows and repeat the lines of characters. Slowly, I started thinking in English instead of translating from my native language. Facing my fear of speaking. One of my biggest fears was public speaking. I knew I had improved, but I still needed to prove it to myself. So, I challenged myself. I signed up for a class presentation. On the day of the presentation, I stood in front of my classmates. My heart was racing, but I took a deep breath. I had been shadowing speakers for a month, and I told myself, just speak like them. I started talking. This time, the words flowed. My voice was steady. I wasn't overthinking. I wasn't stopping to translate in my head. I just spoke. When I finished, my professor smiled and said, "That was excellent, Emma." Very confident delivery. I felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. Why shadowing works. Looking back, I realize why the shadowing technique is so powerful. It trains your mouth. Your tongue and muscles get used to forming English words. It improves your listening. You notice how native speakers stress words and use rhythm. It builds confidence. Because you practice speaking out loud every day. It removes hesitation. Your brain starts processing English automatically. My advice to you that if you're struggling with fluency like I was, here's my advice. Start small. Choose short clips, 1 to 2 minutes, and shadow them daily. Be patient. At first, it will feel difficult. But don't give up. Use different materials. Podcasts, YouTube videos, movies. Mix it up. Don't worry about mistakes. Focus on rhythm and flow, not grammar. Make it a habit. Even 10 minutes a day will show results over time. After that life-changing presentation, my days took on a new rhythm. A rhythm where every moment became an opportunity to practice, to learn, and to shine a little brighter. I remember waking up on a crisp autumn morning in Chicago, feeling the familiar mix of excitement and calm determination. The memory of that applause still resonated in my ears, a reminder that the shadowing technique had done more than just improve my English. It had unlocked a side of me I had long kept hidden. That morning, I sat at my favorite corner table in a bustling campus coffee shop. With my worn-out headphones, a notebook filled with scribbled notes from my daily sessions, and an eagerness to absorb more, I began shadowing a podcast featuring one of my favorite motivational speakers. I mimicked the speaker's every inflection, pausing only to take a breath and let the cadence sink in. Each word felt like a stepping stone, building a bridge between my old hesitant self and the confident communicator I was becoming. At college, conversations started to feel more like opportunities rather than obstacles. In classes, I found myself raising my hand without the usual nervous flutter. When discussions heated up over complex business theories or global economic policies, I contributed my thoughts with a newfound clarity. My classmates began to see a different side of me, not the shy girl who once stumbled over simple introductions, but a person who articulated ideas with conviction and passion. One day, while preparing for a group project in the library, Ashley, a close friend from my business administration program, pulled me aside. "Emma," she said, her voice full of genuine admiration, "you've changed so much. Remember when you'd barely speak up? Now you're not just talking, you're inspiring everyone around you." Her words were simple, yet they carried the weight of validation that I had craved for so long. That conversation spurred me to push further, to share not just my improved language skills, but also the story of my journey with anyone who would listen. I soon became involved in a community outreach program aimed at helping new international students adjust to life in the United States. I led small workshops where I explained the shadowing technique, showing them how to practice mimicking native speakers using video clips, podcasts, and even everyday interactions in places like local markets and libraries. I recalled my early days, sitting alone in my room, headphones on, struggling to keep up with fast-paced speeches, and I felt a profound empathy for those facing similar challenges. I shared with them every triumph and setback, every awkward pause, and every breakthrough moment, urging them to see mistakes not as failures, but as vital parts of the learning curve. In one particularly memorable session at a community center in downtown Chicago, I met Professor Thompson again. Now, he was not only a mentor, but also a friend who had been following my progress with pride. Over cups of strong coffee in a sunlit cafe, we discussed how the brain learns languages. He explained that the practice of shadowing was triggering neuroplasticity, helping the brain form new neural pathways that made language processing more natural and instinctive. Listening to him, I realized that every single hour spent mimicking native speakers was not just about pronunciation. It was about rewiring my brain to think in English, to feel the rhythm of a language that was becoming an intrinsic part of me. My journey wasn't without challenges, of course. There were days when self-doubt crept in, days when even the simplest sentences tripped me up. I vividly recall one afternoon in the middle of a harsh winter when a heavy snowstorm had turned Chicago's streets into a maze of white. Trapped in a long delay on my bus, I tried shadowing a recording of a news anchor discussing local events. But as the words flowed, the biting cold and the isolation of the moment made me question whether my progress was real or just a temporary fix. I started doubting, wondering if my voice would ever truly belong in a conversation without hesitation. Yet, even in that moment of uncertainty, I found solace in the repetitive, rhythmic echo of my own words, a reminder that every struggle was paving the way for growth. The turning point came unexpectedly. I had signed up to participate in a regional debate competition, a challenge that, a few months earlier, would have seemed unthinkable. Preparing for the debate became a ritual in itself. I recorded myself shadowing segments from renowned debaters and public speakers, analyzing every inflection and pause. I practiced my arguments repeatedly, integrating techniques learned from years of careful mimicry. When the day of the debate arrived, standing on a stage before an audience of peers and local community members, I felt the steady hum of nerves, but also an undeniable surge of confidence. The words flowed with precision and passion, each sentence a testament to the power of perseverance. The applause I received that day was different. It wasn't just the sound of clapping hands, but the audible affirmation of a journey long fought for and finally mastered. In the weeks and months that followed, my experiences began to weave together into a tapestry of personal growth. I started taking on leadership roles in academic projects and volunteer programs. I formed a small group of students, each with our own battles with language, and together, we practiced shadowing in a variety of settings. We would meet at the local park, beneath the canopy of trees that painted the skyline of Chicago with dappled light, and share recordings of our progress. Each session became a mosaic of voices from different backgrounds, each shadowing its own rhythm, yet all united by the common goal of overcoming the barriers of language. My journey even led me to unexpected opportunities outside of the academic sphere. One evening, at a networking event hosted by a prominent local business, I found myself engaged in conversation with a successful entrepreneur named Michael Reynolds. Michael was charismatic, his words measured and impactful, and he shared how his own struggles with communication had once hindered his business ventures. As we talked, I mentioned the shadowing technique and how it had transformed my approach to language. Michael's eyes lit up with interest, and he invited me to join an initiative he was launching, a mentorship program for young professionals aiming to excel in communication and leadership. Being part of that program allowed me to work with professionals from diverse industries, where I continued to refine my speaking skills in real-world scenarios. It was during these meetings that I realized that the shadowing technique was not just a tool for language. It was a bridge that connected passion with opportunity. Every day, I continued to challenge myself. I experimented with new formats, shadowing interviews on podcasts, recording dialogues from classic films, and even mimicking the cadence of local radio hosts during my morning commute. Each new practice session added layers to my understanding, revealing nuances of expression that had previously eluded me. I began to appreciate that language was not static. It was a living, evolving entity that reflected the culture and spirit of its speakers. There were also quieter moments of introspection. Late at night, when the city was hushed and my apartment felt like a sanctuary, I would review recordings of my early attempts, hesitant words and awkward pauses that had once defined me. In those moments, I acknowledged how far I had come, celebrating the small victories that had gradually built my confidence. The journey was long and winding, filled with both triumphs and setbacks, but each step was a necessary part of the mosaic that was my life. As graduation approached, I found myself reflecting on the paradox of my journey. The shadowing technique, which started as a simple exercise to improve my pronunciation, had become a symbol of transformation, a tangible reminder that improvement comes through persistence, practice, and the courage to face one's vulnerabilities head-on. I was no longer just a student of business administration. I was a student of life, eager to learn, eager to share, and eager to make a difference. Today, as I prepare to take the next big step in my life, I hold the lessons of my past close to my heart. I have been offered an internship at a major corporation in New York City, a city known for its fast pace and diverse voices. While the thought of stepping into such a dynamic environment is both thrilling and daunting, I know that I am equipped with the tools and confidence honed through years of shadowing and self-discovery. I am ready to meet new challenges, to embrace new voices, and to continue growing, both as a communicator and as a person. I see that the journey of mastering a language is not simply about words. It's about discovering who you are when you let your voice be heard. It's about transforming moments of hesitation into expressions of authenticity. And as I stand on the brink of new opportunities, I'm filled with gratitude for every mispronounced word, every moment of self-doubt, and every breakthrough that has led me to this point. I continue my daily practice, not out of obligation, but out of love for the art of communication. The shadowing technique remains my steadfast companion, a daily ritual that reminds me that progress is built on persistence, that every voice matters, and that each of us has the power to transform our lives one shadow at a time. With each passing day, I find more joy in the interplay of sound and meaning, in the dance of rhythm and emotion that is language. And in that joy, I discover not only fluency, but also freedom, the freedom to express, to connect, and to be unapologetically myself. Every new day in New York City felt like stepping onto a stage where every interaction was an opportunity to shine. I still remember my first morning at the office in this bustling metropolis. Nervous excitement mingled with the soft hum of urban life outside my window. As I sipped my coffee in the sleek glass atrium of the building, I recalled the early days in Chicago, the hesitant pauses, the self-doubt that had once held me back. Now, armed with the unwavering confidence forged through countless hours of shadowing, I embraced the fast-paced rhythm of this new chapter. My internship had quickly evolved into a profound journey of professional growth. I was assigned to a high-profile project that demanded clear communication and decisive action. In the midst of brainstorming sessions filled with rapid exchanges and innovative ideas, I often found myself pausing to internalize the conversation, the way each word was articulated, the cadence that brought life to even the most mundane ideas. I recalled my daily practice sessions, where mimicking the tones of influential public speakers had rewired my approach to language. That preparation paid off when I confidently interjected during a critical meeting, articulating my thoughts in a manner that was both precise and compelling. The room fell silent for a moment, then erupted in nods of agreement and murmurs of approval, affirming that I had not only mastered the art of speaking, but had also learned to harness the power of my own voice. Outside of work, the city itself became an extension of my classroom. The subway rides were filled with a symphony of diverse accents and rapid-fire dialogues, a living laboratory for practicing shadowing in real time. I found myself absorbing snippets of conversations, announcements, and even the distinct intonations of street vendors selling hot dogs at busy corners. Each sound was a lesson, each encounter a chance to further calibrate my ear and tongue to the vibrant language of everyday New York. I began to see the city as a mosaic of voices, each one contributing to my ever-growing repository of expression and understanding. My new life in New York also opened doors to unexpected friendships and enriching encounters. At a local literary meetup held in a cozy, dimly lit bookstore, I met Maya Thompson, a passionate writer whose own struggles with self-expression resonated with my journey. Over late-night discussions and shared cups of artisan tea, we exchanged stories of the obstacles we'd overcome. Maya was fascinated by my experiences with the shadowing technique and how it had not only refined my English, but also redefined my sense of self. We spent hours discussing the power of language, the subtle nuances of intonation, and how a single well-practiced phrase could spark a revolution in thought. Those evenings not only deepened my appreciation for the art of communication, but also reinforced my belief in the transformative power of perseverance. One crisp evening, as winter wrapped the city in a quiet chill, I found myself walking along the neon-lit sidewalks of Midtown. The hum of the city was punctuated by distant jazz melodies emanating from a small club nestled between towering skyscrapers. Drawn by the soulful sounds, I stepped inside and was greeted by Daniel Martinez, a charismatic saxophonist whose music carried an undercurrent of hope and resilience. Our conversation flowed as naturally as his melodies, touching upon everything from the intricacies of musical expression to the challenges of mastering a new language in a foreign land. Daniel's perspective, that language was as much about rhythm and emotion as it was about vocabulary, resonated deeply with me. His words reminded me that every practiced sentence was not just a step toward fluency, but a brushstroke in the larger canvas of self-discovery. The true test of my transformation came when I was invited to lead a workshop on effective communication for a group of young professionals. Nervous energy mingled with excitement as I prepared to share my journey, from the timid beginnings in a small town in Ohio to the bustling corridors of New York City's corporate world. I crafted my presentation with care, interweaving personal anecdotes with practical exercises drawn from my own daily routine of shadowing. Standing before the audience, I spoke not only of techniques and strategies, but of the raw, unfiltered emotions that had propelled me forward. I recounted the early mornings spent rehearsing lines from influential speeches, the many afternoons filled with self-doubt and eventual breakthroughs, and the countless moments where a single echo of practiced words had opened doors to new opportunities. The response was overwhelming. Questions poured in, and many shared their own struggles with language and self-expression. In that moment, I realized that my journey was not an isolated experience, but a beacon of hope for anyone who had ever felt silenced by their own insecurities. Yet, there were still days when the weight of expectations and the rapid pace of New York life threatened to pull me back into old patterns of hesitation. On one particularly challenging afternoon, after a marathon of back-to-back meetings, I found myself sitting alone in a quiet corner of a busy cafe. The ambient noise of chattering patrons and clinking cups faded into the background as I pulled out my phone and revisited one of my early recordings. Listening to that once fragile, halting voice, I acknowledged the distance I had traveled, from the uncertainty of my early days to the confident cadence of today. It was a moment of quiet introspection, a reminder that every stumble was a precursor to a stronger step forward. With renewed determination, I slipped on my headphones once again and immersed myself in a series of shadowing exercises, each repetition a promise to myself that I would continue to grow, no matter how steep the climb. As my internship drew to a close, I began to see that every experience in New York, every conversation, every challenge, every triumph, had been a vital chapter in my evolution. I had grown not only as a professional, but as a person who had learned to harness the full spectrum of human expression. I accepted a new role with a dynamic startup company, an opportunity that felt like a natural extension of my journey. The startup environment was a whirlwind of creativity and innovation, where ideas were born out of the collision of diverse perspectives. Here, I applied every lesson learned from shadowing, using my refined communication skills to bridge gaps between team members and to articulate bold, visionary ideas that resonated with our target audience. In this new setting, I embraced the challenges of a fast-paced, ever-changing landscape. Collaborating with colleagues from around the globe, I found that my background, once a source of self-doubt, had become a unique strength. My distinct perspective, shaped by years of deliberate practice and personal growth, allowed me to navigate cultural nuances with sensitivity and precision. I organized informal sessions where we shared our own linguistic struggles and triumphs, creating a micro-community that celebrated the diversity of voices and the common pursuit of excellence. These gatherings were filled with laughter, earnest exchanges, and the shared understanding that every accent, every pause, and every intonation carried a story of perseverance and hope. Even as professional success began to accumulate, I never lost sight of the personal dimension of my journey. Every night, I continued my ritual of shadowing, not out of obligation, but as a means to reconnect with the very core of what had set me on this path. With each echo of my practiced words, I reaffirmed my belief that language was more than a tool for communication. It was a manifestation of identity, culture, and the shared human experience. I began writing in a journal, chronicling not just the milestones of my career, but the subtle shifts in my thoughts and emotions. These reflections became a cherished record of the transformation that had taken place, a tapestry woven from moments of vulnerability, triumph, and the unyielding pursuit of self-improvement. Looking back, it's almost surreal to recall the days when every conversation was a battle against hesitation and self-doubt. Today, as I stand on the threshold of new opportunities and challenges, I am filled with gratitude for every mispronounced word and every moment of uncertainty that forced me to press on. My journey with the shadowing technique has become a metaphor for life itself, a continuous process of listening, learning, and growing. The echoes of my past are not reminders of my failures, but of the resilience and determination that have carried me forward. In the midst of this ever-evolving journey, I have also learned the importance of giving back. I have started mentoring new employees at my company, many of whom come from diverse backgrounds and face their own unique challenges in mastering the language of business. During our one-on-one sessions, I share not only practical tips on pronunciation and intonation, but also the personal stories of my own struggles and victories. I encourage them to view every stumble as an opportunity to learn, to embrace the beauty of their individual voices, and to practice with the same dedication that transformed me. Witnessing their progress, the spark of understanding in their eyes, reaffirms for me that the art of communication is a gift meant to be shared. As I move forward, I continue to see language as a living, evolving bridge that connects hearts and minds. Every new project, every unexpected encounter, serves as a reminder that true mastery is not measured by perfection, but by the courage to persist and the willingness to embrace change. The shadowing technique remains at the core of my practice, a daily affirmation that every voice, no matter how tentative it may seem at first, has the power to inspire, transform, and unite. With each new day, I step into the world with a voice that is no longer confined by fear, but empowered by the journey of growth and the promise of endless possibilities. In the heart of New York, amidst the ceaseless rhythm of urban life, I have found not just success, but a profound connection to the art of communication. My story, woven with threads of persistence and passion, continues to unfold in unexpected and beautiful ways. And as I look to the future, I know that my journey is far from over. With every conversation and every new challenge, I remain committed to the belief that language, like life, is a series of echoes, each one building upon the last, creating a legacy of strength, resilience, and the unwavering power of one's own voice. In the weeks that followed my transition into the dynamic startup environment, I sensed a stirring for even greater challenges, a hunger to explore not only my professional abilities, but also the depths of my personal evolution. I began noticing that the shadowing technique, which had once served as a bridge over turbulent waters of self-doubt, was now an integral part of every conversation, every new experience that life in New York City threw my way. I decided to delve even deeper into the art of communication. I enrolled in a specialized workshop on public speaking and storytelling, one that promised to help participants not only refine their verbal skills, but also harness the emotional power of a well-told story. The workshop was held in an eclectic loft in Brooklyn, a space that blended modern design with a warm, inviting ambiance. Here, I met people from all walks of life: writers, entrepreneurs, actors, and fellow professionals, all eager to share their unique perspectives. The experience was nothing short of transformative. I learned that communication is a living art, one that evolves with every word spoken and every emotion shared. During the workshop, I was tasked with a final presentation, a personal narrative that encapsulated my journey with the shadowing technique. I poured my heart into that presentation, recounting the nerve-wracking first days in Chicago, the painstaking hours spent mimicking the cadence of native speakers, and the exhilarating moment when I finally found my voice in a bustling New York boardroom. As I spoke, I could see the nods of understanding in the audience, the spark of recognition in their eyes. It was a powerful reminder that the struggles I had once kept hidden were now the very foundation of my strength. Not long after, an unexpected invitation arrived in my inbox. A well-known communications conference in the heart of Manhattan wanted me to share my story with a wider audience. The theme of the conference was Breaking Barriers Through Voice, and I was thrilled to be asked to speak about the shadowing technique, a simple practice that had revolutionized the way I communicated. Preparing for the conference felt like both a return to my roots and a leap into uncharted territory. I spent countless evenings in my tiny apartment, recording myself as I rehearsed, analyzing every pause and pitch, and comparing my present delivery with those early, hesitant recordings that now served as a testament to my progress. The day of the conference arrived with the kind of crisp New York morning that promised endless possibility. Standing backstage, I felt a blend of exhilaration and calm resolve. As I stepped onto the stage, the bright lights and expectant faces in the crowd melded into a singular focus, the power of a single voice nurtured through persistence and passion. I spoke about every step of my journey, the cold mornings spent rehearsing lines from motivational speeches, the loneliness of a winter's day that almost made me question my progress, and the triumphs that transformed my doubts into determined echoes of confidence. I explained how the shadowing technique was not merely about imitation, but about absorbing the rhythm and emotion of language, about letting every word become a stepping stone toward true self-expression. After my talk, a flurry of conversations ensued. People from various fields, journalists, educators, business leaders, approached me, eager to discuss not just the technical aspects of language acquisition, but also the broader humanistic insights behind my journey. One such conversation was with Dr. Olivia Ramirez, a professor of linguistics who was particularly interested in the neuroplasticity aspect of shadowing. Over coffee in a nearby cafe, we debated the intricate ways in which repeated auditory exposure rewires the brain, making fluent speech an almost instinctive process. Her insights not only validated my personal experience, but also opened up a world of academic inquiry that I had never considered before. Inspired by these discussions, I decided to embark on a new project, a blog dedicated to sharing real-life experiences of overcoming communication barriers. I wanted to create a space where people from all over the United States, and even beyond, could share their journeys, their struggles, and their breakthroughs. I wrote about everything from the initial embarrassment of a stutter to the liberating moments of clarity when a well-practiced phrase finally clicked. I encouraged my readers to experiment with the shadowing technique and to document their progress, no matter how incremental it seemed. The response was overwhelming. Stories began to pour in, each one a reminder that language is not a barrier, but a bridge that can unite us all. As the months passed, I also took on a mentorship role at my company. I started informal sessions with new employees, many of whom were navigating the complexities of a multicultural environment. I shared with them not just techniques, but personal anecdotes. The long nights spent in solitude practicing in front of a mirror, the trembling moments before a crucial presentation, and the sweet, almost indescribable joy when words finally flowed freely. We'd sit in a quiet meeting room, our voices blending with the soft hum of the city outside, and together we'd dissect the rhythms of effective speech. These sessions became a cherished ritual, a testament to the idea that growth is most profound when shared. My personal life began to mirror this professional and intellectual blossoming. I reconnected with old friends and forged new relationships that celebrated not only our successes, but also our vulnerabilities. On quiet weekends, I would wander through Central Park, the vibrant tapestry of nature serving as a gentle reminder of life's cyclic beauty. There, among the rustling leaves and distant laughter, I often reflected on the journey that had brought me from the hesitant corridors of a college in Chicago to the electrifying stages of New York. I realized that every step, every awkward pause, every painstaking repetition had been necessary for the person I had become. One memorable evening, while attending a community storytelling event at a historic theater in Harlem, I met Marcus Bell, a seasoned journalist known for his in-depth interviews with emerging voices. Over the course of the night, as we shared our personal narratives under the soft glow of stage lights, Marcus expressed a keen interest in my journey. He proposed a series of articles that would explore the transformative power of language, highlighting personal stories of triumph over communication barriers. The collaboration promised to bring my experiences to a broader audience and further solidify the idea that effective communication is both an art and a science. As the project with Marcus took shape, I found myself revisiting the fundamentals of the shadowing technique with renewed passion. I began experimenting with advanced variations, shadowing entire podcasts without pause, recording live conversations in bustling marketplaces, and even using virtual reality simulations to mimic high-stress speaking scenarios. Each experiment revealed new facets of my ability to adapt and improvise. I discovered that even on days when my voice felt timid, the steady rhythm of practice speech always returned like a loyal friend. This evolving practice was a reminder that growth is a continuous journey, one that requires constant dedication, adaptation, and, above all, compassion for oneself. In the midst of these transformative experiences, life also brought moments of quiet introspection. There were nights when the city's cacophony softened into a lullaby, and I sat alone with my thoughts, questioning whether I had fully embraced all the lessons that language and life had to offer. In those moments, I revisited my old recordings, each hesitant syllable and every stumbling phrase a marker on the road to fluency. I acknowledged that while I had come a long way, the journey was far from over. Every day presented a fresh canvas, an opportunity to fine-tune the delicate balance between thought and expression. My pursuit of communication excellence eventually led me to an unexpected crossroad, a decision to pursue a master's degree in communications at a prestigious university in the United States. The thought of returning to academia filled me with both excitement and a healthy dose of trepidation. I knew that further study would demand not only intellectual rigor, but also a willingness to expose more of my vulnerabilities in a scholarly setting. Yet, the idea of deepening my understanding of language from both a practical and theoretical standpoint was irresistible. With the support of my mentors, colleagues, and the community that had grown around my journey, I took the leap. Enrolling in the master's program was like entering a new realm of exploration. The classrooms were arenas of vibrant debate, the libraries treasure troves of knowledge, and every discussion was a reminder of the diverse ways in which language shapes our reality. I immersed myself in courses on linguistics, cognitive psychology, and cultural studies, each subject weaving a richer tapestry of understanding around the power of communication. I discovered that the shadowing technique was not just a tool for speech improvement, but a window into the human mind. A method that revealed how deeply our words are intertwined with our thoughts, emotions, and identities. During this period of academic and personal exploration, I forged a close friendship with a classmate named Rachel Nguyen. Rachel was a gifted linguist with an insatiable curiosity about the science behind language acquisition. Our long discussions often stretched late into the night as we compared our own journeys and delved into theories of neuroplasticity, accent modification, and the evolution of language in the digital age. Together, we co-authored a research paper that explored the impact of shadowing on language fluency among non-native speakers, a project that was later published in a respected journal. The experience not only solidified my passion for the field, but also underscored the importance of collaborative learning and the power of sharing one's story. As my academic tenure progressed, I found myself balancing lectures, research, and mentoring sessions with an ever-growing portfolio of creative projects. I continued writing on my blog, capturing the minutiae of daily life and the extraordinary moments that emerged from ordinary routines. I began to see my writing as an extension of my voice, a way to document my evolution and to offer a roadmap for others who dared to dream of fluency. The blog became a community, a vibrant forum where readers exchanged tips, shared personal victories, and supported each other through setbacks. It was in these digital conversations that I recognized the universal truth. Language is both a personal journey and a communal endeavor. Even as I juggled my academic and creative pursuits, New York City never ceased to surprise me. The metropolis, with its endless array of neighborhoods and hidden corners, provided a continuous source of inspiration. On impromptu weekend trips, I ventured to small towns and historic sites scattered across the United States. Each journey a fresh lesson in local dialects, regional expressions, and the cultural nuances that define a community's identity. In one such trip to New Orleans, I sat in a vibrant jazz club, letting the soulful melodies and rhythmic conversations wash over me. The experience reinforced for me that every region has its own unique cadence, a reminder that while the shadowing technique had helped me master a standard form of communication, true fluency meant embracing the rich diversity of voices that make up our world. Now, as I stand at the threshold of my future, a future that promises more challenges, more opportunities, and more moments of self-discovery, I look back with profound gratitude. Every mispronounced word, every moment of hesitation, and every breakthrough has led me to this place of confidence and connection. The shadowing technique, which began as a simple exercise in mimicry, has grown into a lifelong practice, a daily affirmation that each of us holds the power to transform our insecurities into strengths. In the end, my journey is a tapestry of voices, experiences, and emotions, a continuous echo of growth that reminds me that language, like life, is a series of moments strung together by persistence, passion, and the courage to listen. And as I move forward, I remain committed to not only refining my own voice, but also to lifting others up, encouraging them to share their stories, and to embrace every shadow, every echo.
Below are some detailed tips and tricks to help you get the most out of the shadowing technique. These suggestions cover everything from setting up your practice environment to advanced strategies that can help refine your pronunciation, intonation, and overall fluency. 1. Understand the basics of shadowing. Definition and purpose. Shadowing is the practice of listening to a native speaker and simultaneously repeating what is said. This technique is designed to mimic natural speech patterns, helping your brain and muscles get used to the rhythm, tone, and pace of the language. Why it works. By imitating native speakers, you're training your brain to process language as it is naturally spoken. This improves your listening comprehension, pronunciation, and fluency simultaneously. 2. Choose the right materials. Select engaging content. Start with content that interests you. Podcasts, TED Talks, news clips, or even dialogues from your favorite TV shows. The more engaging the material, the easier it is to stay motivated. Audio quality matters. Pick sources with clear audio and a natural pace. It might be tempting to choose fast-paced videos, but if you're just starting, clarity is more important than speed. Use transcripts. When available, use transcripts alongside audio. They can help you verify what you're hearing and ensure that you're matching the words accurately. Third, start small and build. Gradually short segments. Begin with 1 to 2 minute clips. This helps prevent feeling overwhelmed and allows you to focus on accurate repetition without the pressure of a long passage. Incremental challenges. As you become more comfortable, gradually increase the length of the segments. Eventually, challenge yourself with longer speeches or faster-paced content. 4. Create a conducive environment. Quiet space. Find a calm, quiet place, free from distractions. A consistent practice space helps you focus and get into a flow. Use headphones. High-quality headphones can enhance the clarity of the audio, making it easier to capture subtle nuances in pronunciation and intonation. Minimize interruptions. Turn off notifications and set aside a dedicated time for your practice. Consistency is key, so treat your shadowing sessions like an important appointment. 5. Practice active listening and imitation. Focus on intonation and rhythm. Don't just repeat words. Absorb the tone, pitch, and rhythm. Notice how the speaker emphasizes certain words and replicates that in your practice. Mirror the emotions. Mimic the speaker's emotion. Whether it's enthusiasm, calm, or urgency, reflecting these emotions can make your delivery more natural and engaging. Pause and rewind. If you miss a phrase or stumble over a word, don't hesitate to pause and replay the segment. Repetition is your friend. 6. Record and analyze your progress self-recording. Use your phone or computer to record your practice sessions. This allows you to compare your pronunciation with the original audio. Self-critique. Listen back to identify areas of improvement. Focus on specific sounds or phrases that seem off, and work on them until they sound more natural. Track your progress. Maintain a log or journal detailing the sessions, including any improvements, challenges, or new insights you've discovered along the way. 7. Integrate shadowing into daily life. Consistency over intensity. Even 10 minutes a day can yield significant improvements. Make it part of your daily routine while commuting, during breaks, or as part of your morning ritual. Diversify your content. Experiment with different types of content. Switching between various accents, speeds, and topics can broaden your understanding of the language's nuances. Real-world application. Try to incorporate what you learn into daily conversations. This helps reinforce the practice and builds confidence in real-life scenarios. 8. Join or form a study group peer learning. Connect with others who are also practicing shadowing. Sharing experiences and challenges can motivate you and provide new insights. Group sessions. Arrange regular meetups where you can practice together. This not only adds a social element, but also exposes you to different styles and techniques. Feedback. Encourage group members to provide constructive feedback. Sometimes an external perspective can highlight areas you might overlook on your own. 9. Be patient and embrace. Imperfection. Celebrate small wins. Recognize every improvement, no matter how minor it may seem. Each step is a milestone in your journey toward fluency. Don't fear mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of learning. Each error is an opportunity to learn and refine your skills further. Stay motivated. Remind yourself that progress takes time. Patience and persistence are crucial. Consistency will lead to improvement over time. 10. Advanced tips for mastery. Multiple repetitions. Once you feel comfortable with a segment, try repeating it several times in a row. This helps internalize the flow and builds muscle memory. Shadowing without the script. As you improve, challenge yourself by shadowing without looking at a transcript. This forces you to rely on your listening and memory skills. Vary your speed. Experiment with slowing down and speeding up the audio. This can help you adapt to different speaking speeds and improve overall comprehension. Use technology. Explore apps and tools designed for language learning. Some apps can slow down the audio without changing the pitch or allow you to loop small segments repeatedly. Incorporate speech exercises. Alongside shadowing, practice tongue twisters or pronunciation drills. These exercises can further refine your enunciation and help clear any lingering accents. Break down. Difficult sounds. Focus on phonetics. If you notice certain sounds or combinations of letters give you trouble, isolate those sections. Spend extra time on them until you feel confident. Minimal pairs. Practice work on minimal pairs, words that differ by only one sound, like ship versus sheep, to fine-tune your pronunciation and differentiate similar sounds. 2. Enhance your listening skills. Active listening. Really concentrate on the speaker's articulation, intonation, and rhythm. Try to identify subtle nuances, such as slight pauses or inflections that can be replicated. Subtitled shadowing. Use videos with subtitles initially. Watch with the subtitles to confirm what you're hearing. Then challenge yourself by shadowing without them. Varied accents. Once you're comfortable, practice with different accents. This helps you understand a wider range of pronunciations and prepares you for real-world conversations. 3. Utilize technology and tools. Audio slow-down tools. Use apps that allow you to slow down the playback without altering the pitch. This makes it easier to catch each word and sound. Voice recording. Software. Record your shadowing sessions and compare them with the original audio. Some apps offer visual feedback on pitch and tone, helping you fine-tune your delivery. Speech recognition apps. Leverage apps that use voice recognition to give you instant feedback on your pronunciation. This real-time analysis can help pinpoint areas for improvement. 4. Refine your technique. Mirror work. Practice in front of a mirror to watch your mouth movements. Exaggerating your lip and tongue motions in the beginning can help create muscle memory. Focus on intonation. Work not just on words, but on the melody of speech. Practice mimicking the rise and fall of the speaker's voice to capture the emotional tone of the conversation. Chunking. Break longer sentences into smaller chunks. Shadow each phrase before trying to put them together into a complete, fluent sentence. 5. Incorporate variety into your practice, different genres and styles. Alternate between formal speeches, casual conversations, and different media like news, interviews, and podcasts. This variety exposes you to multiple speaking styles and vocabularies. Interactive shadowing. Engage with interactive platforms that simulate dialogues. Some language learning apps allow you to practice shadowing within the context of a conversation, adding an element of spontaneity. Role play. Pair up with a fellow learner to practice dialogues. This can be a fun way to simulate real-life scenarios and receive immediate feedback. 6. Develop a routine for continuous improvement. Consistent schedule. Make shadowing a daily habit. Even if it's just 10 to 15 minutes a day, regular practice builds muscle memory and enhances overall fluency over time. Set specific goals. Define clear, achievable goals for each session. Whether it's mastering a particular accent, improving the flow of a difficult paragraph, or reducing hesitation, goal setting can provide direction and motivation. Reflection and adjustment. After each session, take a few minutes to reflect on what went well and what could be improved. Adjust your strategy based on these insights for continuous progress. 7. Engage in supplementary exercises, tongue twisters, and diction drills. Integrate tongue twisters into your routine to strengthen your articulatory muscles and improve diction. These exercises can make it easier to tackle more complex sentences later on. Mimic emotional nuances. Choose segments with varied emotional content. Practicing both calm and passionate speech helps you learn to control your vocal tone and express emotion naturally. Shadow real-life interactions. Occasionally, try shadowing live conversations, like recording yourself while listening to a group discussion in a cafe or a live radio broadcast. This can train you to adapt quickly to unpredictable speech patterns. Final thoughts. The key to mastering the shadowing technique is persistence and a willingness to experiment. Each new tip or trick adds a layer of depth to your practice, turning each session into a stepping stone towards greater fluency and confidence.